General, my first question is very simple. How did you do it, man? Because that weight on your shoulders look good to me. And it's good for everything that these Tuskegee Airmen work for. Is good for all of the personal sacrifice that I've made all of my 70 years to try to pave the way. How did you do that?
Well, I didn't do it alone. That's the first thing. You know, the person you see sitting here right now is a collection of a lot of folks that I met along the way. You know, that started out with mom and dad, and then good mentors. I'm the youngest of 5 boys in the family, all who served, so I benefited from their experiences. And then along the way in the military, I was blessed to have good commanders, commanders who you know, mentored me along the way. And then when I learned about the Tuskegee Airmen and that whole legacy, I had additional mentors. I mean, folks I could sit down and talk to about anything, anytime. They were always there for me. But I think it's all about the people around you, the folks who serve with you, the folks who you can somehow convince to take ownership of whatever you're doing. Because you can only be as good as the folks who you lead and who work with you. And I've always felt that if I could let my folks have ownership of the process and whatever I'm working with, we'll have success. So there's some luck in there too, and lots of prayers too. So
there had to be many obstacles and lots of adversity. How did you deal with that on your way up?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a simple process it's been for me. Really, who I am came out of mom and dad. They stressed education. I always wonder, especially my dad, how far he could have gone had he been educated. So because his parents took them out of school early, they were determined not to do that to their children. So education was a big thing in the family. They supported us all the time and told us we could succeed. I literally believed. And it was probably just maybe a few years ago. But I always believed that if I worked hard enough, I could be the best at anything I could do. So I think with that mindset, you know, and there was some disappointment in there because, you know, no matter how hard you work, sometimes you may not be number one. But I think with that work ethic, it allowed me to make the sacrifices to kind of get the edge along the way in different opportunities. But
tell me about your upbringing as a child. What were you like as a boy?
I was pretty confident. I mean, I wouldn't say cocky because I didn't really understand the word at the time, but I really believed that I could be what I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I grew up in Beaufort, South Carolina, and the Marine Corps Air Station, Beaufort, is there. So airplanes were flying across the farm all the time. I grew up on a farm. Okay. And so this whole thing about teamwork, you know, we didn't have those in our vocabulary at the time, but everything was collective. We all worked together. All the money, everything went into the same pot, and we shared everything as a family. And everybody returned to the family. My older brothers, when they went in service, they sent money back home. It wasn't until the 5th child of 9 kids that got to go to college right out of high school. But that was because my older brothers and sister sent things back home to make the life better for all the younger ones of us. Okay. So in a certain sense, I'll be honest with you, I felt an obligation that I should excel and try to capitalize on all that everybody had invested in me. I think that shaped some of what I did and what I do, and the sacrifice I make to try to do that. But you know, my childhood was growing up on a farm. We call it truck farming. Okay. My dad planted a lot of vegetables in the fall, and I've done everything from picking cotton to cucumber to tomatoes to you name it.
About my young black boys, because they seem to think that they can do everything the easy way, and we all know that you don't accomplish very much the easy way. No. Speak to my young black boys of Tuskegee for me, will you, and tell them what you think they ought to be doing in order to excel in this society.
Well, I think we live in a society now where things happen quickly, and the expectation is that success can be, you know, achieved in the same way. But at the same time, I think somehow we have to, and I don't know whether it's the children's fault or whether it's the parents' fault. I tend to think more along the parents, because these are things you have to instill at an early age, a real early age. And so many of our families, especially in the African American community, don't have a male in the family unit. And I can tell you, having raised 3 sons, there are times when you just need that male there to say, to give direction. Some kids will respect their mom, and most boys love their mom way more than they ever love their dad. I understand that, but it's tough, because I think we don't have that 3-legged stool. We don't. So many of our families don't have the mother and the father and the children. So it's kind of gets out of balance.